land is your land, and this land is my land. From the California to the New York Island.
The Hudson River, north of New York City, is a lot cleaner than it used to be. The power plants and chemical factories along its banks no longer pollute its waters. One reason for that can be found in this boat shed. His name is Pete Seeger. These days he's involved with an environmental group which builds working models of the old wooden boats that used to sail the Hudson. But why is this boat called the Woody Guthrie?
Woody wrote the song, "This land is your land." So that's kind of how we feel about the river, too. It's your river, my river. Who's going to clean it up? I don't think we've thought through the side effects of anything we do. No matter what we do, whether we're cooking a meal or singing a song or writing a story for a newspaper or TV, or inventing some new invention, or putting a new product on the market, you never know all the side effects that this is going to produce. Henry Ford, you know, he was an old Puritan. If he'd ever dreamed how many girls would be seduced in the cars that he'd make, I wonder if he would have gone ahead with his cheap car bit.
40 years ago, his hair was darker and thicker, and his face had less creases. But the enthusiasm Pete Seeger brought to his role in the Weavers hasn't diminished over the years. They were the group that made folk music famous. Their songs were #1 hits. But the Cold War was raging. Senator McCarthy was finding Reds under the bed, and it turned out that some of the Weavers had flirted with communism. Suddenly they were blacklisted, banned from radio and TV, and their days as pop stars had come to an end.
China, China, China. Well, the captain, he said to John Henry, "I'm gonna bring my steam drill around."
But the music didn't die. Seeger took the songs of Leadbelly and Woody Guthrie to the universities and college campuses. He spoke out against war, against racism, and against tyranny, and he became an important voice for a new generation.
I've been doing some hard traveling a lot.
Probably the most important thing I ever did in my life was keep singing through the 1950s and let a future generation know that there were people like Woody Guthrie and Joe Hill and Leadbelly and so on. And when they came along, I could have really retired then because my job was mainly done. And when Bob Dylan and a whole batch of others came, I felt my job as being a link in a chain was done. But I still like to sing and make up songs occasionally.
Some of Seeger's songs have become anthems. He took an old black spiritual called "I'll Be All Right," changed the melody and gave it a new title. "We Shall Overcome" became the rallying cry of the civil rights movement, a song that was heard in marches, boycotts, jailings, even beatings. And its message is not ancient history for Pete Seeger.
I'm an enthusiastic supporter of Jesse Jackson. I don't agree with everything he says, but you never do. You look for enough of agreement to head in the right direction. I think Jackson is personally a very brave, wonderful man. And it's been a big surprise to a lot of the old Poles, as they say, at the progress he's made. They thought they could relegate him to a corner, and he's right out there in the forefront.
Perhaps the best tribute to Seeger's songwriting talents is the large number of performers who have recorded his tunes. "If I Had a Hammer" was never a hit for the Weavers, but when folk music became the vogue, it was recorded by over 100 artists.
My brothers and my sisters all over this land.
I wonder if, when you listen to the radio today, what you make of of popular music?
I don't listen much, I confess. Once in a long while I'll listen to it. I assume that most pop music is going to be what I think of one of music's many functions, to distract you from your troubles, help you get through the day, help you forget your troubles. On the other hand, some music helps you understand your troubles. And occasionally some music helps inspire you to do something about your troubles.
Ruth, be okay if I pull this out so I can... Sure.
Watching Seeger at work is a bit like being caught in a time warp. Suddenly it's the 60s again. There are protests to be made, wrongs to be righted, causes to be fought. Pete's politics are strong on idealism, short on organisation. Not for him the halls of power or party political machines. Nor has age mellowed the Seeger outlook, which holds that society is headed for a crisis.
It's a crisis of things getting thrown out of balance by technology. Just the mere fact that this little lens can make one person famous overnight and gives some people so much fame, makes other people think, oh, gee, I haven't made it. I'm not famous on television, so I'm nobody. And once upon a time, if you did a good job in your own little village, you were proud. Your neighbors, your fellow tribesmen and tribeswomen thought you were good at whatever you were doing, whether you were a hunter or a wood carver or a foreteller of the weather, and you felt appreciated. But our world today is full of people who feel that they're nobody, they're not appreciated. And they say, what am I going to do? Give me a machine that I can pull the trigger of, put my foot down and hear that roar. Then I'm somebody. They can think they're somebody for a few minutes. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Come along with me, upon that broad.
He'll be 69 this year, and he still performs regularly, usually in school halls, close to home with some young friends. It's always for a good cause, and if there's the occasional strangled note or missed chorus, well, that's folk music. Pete Seeger remains an enduring and endearing American institution.
Don't you be scared.
My wife will tell you she thinks I'm as nuts now as I was 50 years ago. I tell everybody I became a communist when I was age 7. I read about the American Indian. If there was food, everybody ate. There was hunger, everybody went hungry. It was unthinkable that one family in the village would eat while the rest were hungry. There were no rich, no poor. Well, it was a form of society they call tribal communism. Now they say tribes are out, but maybe the world could be one big tribe if we realize that it's going to be all of us or none of us.
In all kinds of weather, there's no telling what the power of the people and the river can do.